If you are anywhere from your 40s to your 60s, the changes that end in memory loss may already be underway inside your brain, quietly, 20 years before you would ever notice a missed name or a lost word. And the routine that slows those changes down is not a pill and not a puzzle app. It is the ordinary shape of your day. I am Dr. Hale. I have spent 15 years in internal medicine, and I have watched two people the same age walk into my office in completely different brains, same birth year, same town. One sharp and steady at 70, the other losing the thread of a sentence at 62. The difference was almost never luck. It was 1,000 small choices, repeated across ordinary days, most of them made long before anyone was thinking about memory at all. Here is what should get your attention, even if you feel perfectly sharp today. Your brain does not fall off a cliff, it drifts. Slowly, quietly, and the drift starts far earlier than people expect, often in the 40s and 50s, decades before a single symptom shows up. So this is not a problem for later. It is a routine to build right now, while the window is wide open, and that window is open for you today. So in the next few minutes, I am going to walk you through a single day, morning to night, in the exact order it happens, and show you how each block either feeds your brain or starves it. 6 habits during the day and 1 at night. That night habit is the one most people get completely backwards, and it may matter more than all the rest combined. Stay with me to the end for that one. Let me give you the frame first, because once you see it, the whole day clicks into place. Almost everything that protects an aging brain comes down to 3 levers: blood flow, so the brain gets oxygen and fuel; low inflammation, so the wiring is not sitting in a slow fire; and steady blood sugar, so the brain is not riding a roller coaster of highs and crashes. Underneath those 3 is a 4th thing, a kind of savings account your brain draws on when trouble comes. Hold that picture. 3 levers and a savings account. Every habit today pulls on at least one of them. So let us start where your day starts, the first hour after you open your eyes. Most people reach for the phone. I want you to reach for the window. Within the first hour of waking, get real daylight into your eyes. Step outside if you can, even for 10 minutes. Coffee on the porch. A short walk to the corner. A few minutes on the back step with the door open. If it is dark or brutally cold, sit by the brightest window you have. Here is why this small thing matters so much. Deep inside your brain sits a tiny master clock, and that clock does not run on its own. It sets itself by light. Morning light is the signal that says, "The day has begun, start the timer." Researchers who study circadian rhythm have shown that bright light in the morning anchors that clock, and a well-anchored clock is what lets your body build a proper wave of melatonin about 14 hours later, in the evening, right when you want to fall asleep. Think of it like winding an old watch. You wind it in the morning and it keeps good time all the way to night. Skip the winding, and the whole day runs a little off. And I know, we have not talked about the brain directly yet. Here is the connection. Everything I am about to tell you about protecting your memory overnight depends on deep sleep, and deep sleep depends on that clock being set. So the very first thing you do, before breakfast, before the news, is line up the sleep you are going to need 16 hours from now. You are winning tonight in the morning. Next block. Get your body moving, ideally before you sit down for the day. This is the single most studied thing on this entire list, and it is not close. Researchers at the University of Pittsburgh ran a study that I think about all the time. They took older adults who were not exercising and had one group simply walk, around 40 minutes a day, a few days a week. Nothing heroic. Walking. After a year, they scanned everyone's brains. The walkers had grown the hippocampus, the part of the brain that files new memories. It got bigger by about 2%. Now, the hippocampus normally shrinks a little each year as we age, so growing at 2% effectively turned the clock back a year or two from walking. And that growth tracked with higher levels of something called BDNF. Let me make BDNF simple, because it is one of the most useful words you will ever learn about your brain. Think of BDNF as fertilizer for brain cells. It helps them grow, connect, and survive. When you move your body, especially enough to breathe a little harder, you spread that fertilizer across the soil where memories take root. Sit still all day, and the soil goes dry. There is a blood flow story here too. The American Heart Association points out that the heart sends roughly a fifth of every heartbeat straight up to the brain. Your brain is a hungry organ. It runs entirely on the oxygen and fuel that your blood delivers, minute by minute. When you walk, you push more of that rich blood uphill to the brain. The Heart Association has noted that even modest daily walking, in the range of a few thousand steps, lines up with meaningfully lower dementia risk. That is lever number 1, blood flow, and a brisk morning walk pulls it hard. If you can only do one thing on this whole list, do this one: move. Early. Most days. Now you have had light and you have moved. Time to eat. And what you put on that plate at breakfast sets the tone for your brain until lunch. Here is the rule. Protein first. Eggs, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, a little fish, whatever fits your life. Build the meal around protein instead of around sugar and fast bread, because the third lever, steady blood sugar, is won or lost at breakfast more than at any other meal. Picture a big spike of blood sugar as a wave. When you eat a breakfast of sweet cereal, juice, and toast, you send a tall wave crashing through your bloodstream. What goes up must come down, so an hour later you crash, foggy and reaching for more. Now here is the part that got my attention. Research has linked higher blood sugar in the hours after eating with higher risk of memory disease down the road, and Harvard Health has reported that people with type 2 diabetes carry a substantially higher risk of dementia than people without it. Your brain does not enjoy that roller coaster any more than your body does. Protein and fiber flatten the wave into a gentle swell, steady fuel. Steady focus. A brain that is not lurching from high to crash all morning. So the first 3 blocks, light, movement, a protein breakfast, are already pulling all 3 levers before 9 in the morning. Now let us talk about the savings account. Somewhere in your day, give your brain something genuinely hard to chew on, not scrolling, not a show you have seen before, something effortful. Learning a language, an instrument, a real book on a subject you do not understand yet, a craft with your hands that keeps getting harder, bridge, chess, a woodworking joint you have never cut. This is what Harvard Health calls building a cognitive reserve, and I love the picture they use. Your brain works like a savings account. Every time you learn something effortful, you make a deposit. You build extra connections, spare routes, backup wiring. Then years later, if age or disease starts damaging some roads, a brain with a full account can detour around the damage and keep functioning, while a brain running on empty cannot. It does not stop the damage. It gives you a cushion against it. And here is the key word: effortful. Comfortable does not make a deposit. The strain, the part where your brain sweats a little, that is the deposit. If it feels easy, find something one notch harder. Now let me tell you about a patient before we go further, because he pulls all of this together. I will call him Gordon, and like every patient I mention, he is a composite of many people I have seen, not one real person. Gordon came to me at 58, worried. His father had lost his memory, and Gordon was starting to blank on names and walk into rooms with no idea why. He was terrified it had begun. What I found was not a diseased brain, it was a starved routine. He woke in a dark room and went straight to a screen. He never moved before sitting down to work all day. Breakfast was a pastry and coffee. He ate lunch alone at his desk. He talked to almost no one, and he fell asleep most nights on the couch with the television glowing. Every single lever working against him. So we did not chase a scary diagnosis. We rebuilt his day, one block at a time, the same blocks I am giving you. 6 months later, the fog had lifted, not cured. Not a miracle, just a brain finally being fed what it had been starving for. And the block Gordon needed most, the one almost nobody would guess, was the one about other people. If this is useful so far, do me one favor. Subscribe to Dr. Hale and tell me in the comments how old you are, because the ages of the people watching genuinely shape what I cover next. Whether you are 45 or 70, I want to know who is in the room. All right, back to the day, and back to the habit Gordon was missing most. Real social connection. During the day, in person when you can, voice to voice when you cannot. A conversation with a friend. A phone call to your sister that is not about logistics. A club, a class, a standing coffee, not a comment thread. A real exchange with a real person. I do not say this as a nice thought. In 2024, the Lancet Commission, one of the most respected panels on this subject in the world, published its list of the risk factors for dementia that we can actually do something about. They found that close to half of dementia cases worldwide are tied to 14 changeable factors. And sitting right there on that list is social isolation. Being cut off from other people is not just lonely. It is a measurable risk to your brain. Think of conversation as a full-body workout for the mind. When you really talk with someone, you are reading a face, tracking a story, searching for words, holding your thought and theirs at the same time. It lights up more of the brain at once than almost anything you can do alone. Isolation lets all of that go quiet. So put a person in your day on purpose. It counts as much as the walk. Now the afternoon. This is where most people slump, reach for sugar, and let stress pile up. So we do two things here. One, we move again. A short walk after lunch does double duty. It blunts the blood sugar spike from your meal, and it sends another wave of that rich blood up to the brain. A 10-minute walk after eating is one of the highest return, lowest effort habits I know. 2, we deal with stress, because stress is not just a feeling, it is a chemical, and in the long run it is corrosive to memory. When you are under constant pressure, your body pumps out cortisol and leaves it running high. Research on the brain shows that chronically high cortisol wears down the hippocampus, the very memory center we spent all morning trying to feed. Picture cortisol like leaving the stress alarm blaring day and night. A short blast is fine, that is what it is for. But an alarm that never shuts off frays the wiring underneath it. So in the afternoon, whatever works for you, take the pressure valve. A slow walk. 10 breaths with a long exhale. 10 minutes outside with the phone left inside. You are not being soft. You are protecting tissue. So that is the daytime. Light movement, a protein breakfast, effortful learning, real connection, and an afternoon walk with a stress valve. Now the one I promised you at the very start, the night habit most people get backwards. Here it is. Protect your deep sleep like it is medicine, because for your brain, it is. Most people treat sleep as the leftover, the thing that gets whatever hours are still lying around after everything else. Backwards. Deep sleep is not your brain shutting off. It is your brain doing its heaviest cleaning of the entire day. Let me explain what actually happens up there while you are unconscious, because once you know this, you will never shortchange it again. Your brain, like any hard-working machine, produces waste as it runs. One of those waste products is a sticky protein called amyloid, and amyloid is the same gunk that clumps into the plaques we see in Alzheimer's disease. All day, it builds up. Now here is the part that stunned even me when I first read it. Scientists, supported by the National Institute on Aging, have shown that during deep sleep, the brain opens up a kind of overnight drainage system, and it flushes that waste out. Amyloid gets cleared while you sleep, and when researchers cut people's sleep short, even for a single night, the amyloid climbed. Picture your brain as a busy kitchen running all day. By night, the counters are covered in mess. Deep sleep is the cleaning crew that comes in overnight, wipes it all down, and takes out the trash so the kitchen is ready to work again in the morning. Skip that deep sleep, and the crew never comes. The mess just sits there and builds, night after night, year after year. That is why this one habit may outweigh all the others. It is the only time the trash actually goes out. So how do you protect it? Cool, dark, quiet room. A consistent bedtime, even on weekends, because that master clock you set this morning wants the same rhythm every night. No screens glowing in your face in the last hour, because that bright light tells your morning clock it is noon and jams the melatonin you spent all day building. Go easy on alcohol close to bedtime, because it knocks you out but robs you of the deep stages, the exact ones that run the cleaning crew. You are not just resting. You are taking out the trash. Treat it that way. Now let me be straight with you, because this channel is built on honesty, and honesty is the whole reason to trust the rest. This routine lowers your risk. It does not buy you a guarantee. There is no diet, no walk, no perfect night of sleep that makes anyone immune to memory disease. Genetics are real. Bad luck is real. Anyone who promises you a cure for Alzheimer's is selling something. What I am giving you is not a cure. It is a set of levers that shift the odds in your favor, and the science that they shift the odds is strong. And here is the honest good news inside that. It is never too early, and it is never too late to start. A brain at 50 responds. A brain at 75 responds. The savings account takes deposits at any age. So let us bring it together. Here is your day, the numbered version, the one to start this week. 1. In the first hour awake, get bright light in your eyes. Outside if you can. 2. Move your body early. A brisk walk most days is the single highest payoff habit here. 3. Eat a protein-first breakfast to keep your blood sugar steady, not spiking and crashing. 4. Give your brain one effortful thing to learn, not easy. Effortful. 5. Put a real person in your day, a conversation, not a screen. 6. Take an afternoon walk, especially after a meal, and open a stress valve before it builds. And the bonus, the one that may matter most, protect your deep sleep like medicine. Cool, dark, consistent, screens off early. That is when the trash goes out. Now one clear line before we finish, because it matters. Everything I gave you today is education, not a prescription, and it is not a substitute for your own doctor. A slow, gentle drift is one thing, but some changes are not part of normal aging and need a call today. Sudden confusion that comes on over hours. Memory that falls off fast, over days or a few weeks, not years. Getting lost in a place you know well. Sudden trouble finding words, weakness on one side, or a face that droops, which can mean a stroke, and is an emergency. Those are not routine problems to walk off. Those get a doctor now, and some of them get an ambulance. If that is you, or someone you love, stop the video and make the call. For everyone else, bring what you learned here to your own doctor. Ask how these fit your history, your medications, your heart, Let them tailor it to you, not the internet. And here is the thread I want to leave you with. Everything today was about the levers you control from the outside, the shape of your day. But there is a quieter story unfolding on the inside, on your plate. There are specific foods that researchers keep linking to sharper memory in older brains, and a few common ones that appear to speed the decline. Foods sitting in most kitchens right now that people eat every day without a second thought. In my next video, I am going to walk you through both lists, the brain feeders and the brain drainers, so you know exactly what to reach for and what to put down. Subscribe so it lands in front of you. Whether you are 45 or 75, the brain you will have in 10 years is being built by the days you live right now. Start with tomorrow morning. Open the blinds. I am Dr. Hale. Take care of yourself.